Welcome into the ACU TV studios for another season of the Julie Goodenough Show. I'm Evan Nemec alongside ACU women's basketball head coach Julie Goodenough, and the start of your 13th season in Abilene. Is that crazy to think about?
It really is. Time really does fly when you're having fun. Yeah, it's crazy to think that we've been back so long. You know, I was at Hardin-Simmons for 9 seasons, and then we were gone out of state for a decade. Then I had the privilege of coming back and taking over this program, and Rob, my husband, got right back into the administrative role out at Wiley, and this is the longest either of us have been in a job at a school, and we love it. But it is crazy when you think about 13 years have already gone by.
Well, let's talk about this season coming up for the Wildcats after a 14-16 record last year, 10-10 in the WAC. But one of the best players in the conference playing for the Wildcats, the former WAC Freshman of the Year, Peyton Hull, who starts this season as a preseason all-WAC player. And on that team, just 5 players listed. Peyton's the only one who's not a senior or a grad student.
How about that? I mean, that's that poll, the WAC all-conference team, the preseason is voted on by the head coaches. So for the head coaches in the league to feel like Peyton is one of the top 5 players in the conference is really phenomenal. What a great compliment from the opposing coaches in the league. And fun fact too, it's our first one ever, our first WAC preseason all-conference player. Yeah. We've not had one, and so that's a big deal for our program. We all got to celebrate that.
Well, we loved watching her shoot the ball last year, 79 three-pointers made, leading the conference last season, and leading your team with 15 points 15 points a game as a freshman.
Yes, and she was actually interviewed in ACU Today that just came out recently, and she had a quote in there that said she was scared to shoot at the beginning of the season because she thought I would pull her out if she missed a shot. And so when I read that, I was like, Peyton, you know I'm not pulling you out if you miss a shot. I will pull you out if you turn down an open shot. So, but then she had a couple of really good games on the road, and I think that just made everything click for her. Like, I can knock shots down, and I think really what her apprehension is, you know, can I score, can I play at this level? And I think after she had some success over Thanksgiving break, we were in a tournament at the Naval Academy. She was like, I can do this.
Yeah, it was incredible to watch the confidence grow over the season. And you know, she comes from a 3A school where she had a ton of success, but from Class 3A in Texas high school girls basketball to Division I, quite the jump. But you know, after the first few weeks of the season, you could tell the transition was made by her, and we're looking for a lot of great things from her for this season.
For sure. As a sophomore, it's one of my favorite things to watch the freshmen become sophomores. It's like they just understand everything better. They're not so concerned about things. You know, they just understand our system more. And whatever we do in practice, they're like, oh yeah, I've been there, done that. You know, they're not afraid of anything. And I think, you know, Peyton has been no exception. Like, she's made a great transition from freshman to sophomore.
Well, on the same day that the all-WAC preseason team was released, we got to see the WAC preseason poll, in which ACU is picked 4th out of 9 teams to start the season, voted on by the coaches. Grand Canyon at the top, along with California Baptist and UTA right behind them, and a league that I think, you know, those 3 teams up at the top impressed last year, and when you look at Grand Canyon, they've got the WAC preseason player of the year, Trinity San Antonio, back, and this is going to be an interesting league to watch. Yeah,
for sure. Great coaches in our conference. And with the transfer portal, there's so many new transfers on every team. You know, I thought this was really hard. Like, picking the WAC preseason team to me was not that hard. Picking the WAC poll right here, this was hard because so many players left the WAC, and then all these new players are in the WAC, and so it'll be really interesting to see which coaches are able to maximize their new players the best.
And Grand Canyon and Cal Baptist, they both got 4 first-place votes. It wasn't there's no one that is the runaway favorite to win the WAC to start the season.
For sure.
So a lot of good players, and for your team, 5 returning players. So we talked about Peyton Hull, but then everybody's favorite Wildcat, Bella Earl, right, who's been around for several years now, and she was an all-WAC second-team player from last year, does so many things for your team, barely comes off the floor. How have you seen Bella continue to take charge of this new group of players?
Yeah, you know what to expect every day from Bella. She comes into practice and she gives 100%. Plays really, really hard. She's a great leader by example in practice every day, and so you know what kind of energy and what kind of mentality she'll bring to practice on a daily basis. She was our leading rebounder last year. She led our team in assists last season. Phenomenal three-point shooter, free throw shooter as well. I think that we'll be counting on her just like last season to be a dominant rebounder again this year. Also a double-digit scoring threat, just like she was last season. But the thing that Bella has that the other players on the rest of the players on the team don't have is just the experience of being in our system for 3 years now. She's going on year 4, and I'm super grateful and thankful to have her this 4th season, and just love what she brings to the table. She is playing with a certain urgency right now that some of the younger players can't even fathom, because she knows she has 20 weeks left on the schedule. Hopefully we can add to that with some postseason play, but she has 20 weeks that we have games, and she's maximizing that time. She knows that the time has gone by really fast. She's been here for 3 years. She's in her final 20 weeks of eligibility, and she wants to make the very best of it.
You've got some other returners as well. Zoe Jackson, who really assumed that point guard role the last third of the season last season. Meredith Mays, who in the post filled in really well for Addison Martin when she got hurt last year. And so now Meredith kind of steps into a much bigger role this season for your team, doesn't she?
For sure. I think with Zoe, Meredith, and Emma Troxel, just all the minutes that they played last year gave them a ton of experience rolling into this season. And we're going to want that experience to be something that's very obvious when they're out on the court. Like, we know how to handle these situations. We've been here before. Zoe last year had a positive assist to turnover ratio, and as a point guard, that's what you want. She does a really good job just running the offense, not trying to force things that are not there. She's not going to go jack up a shot in the first 10 seconds if that's not what we're asking her to do. She's just going to be the court general, get us into the offense. Like you mentioned, Meredith Mays played significant minutes for us last year. She started in several games where she was a great offensive force. And the big thing we want to see her improve on this year is just her defensive aggressiveness. She could be super disruptive in the paint. And I think this year, her understanding what we're trying to get out of her defensively, we're going to see her as a kind of a defensive stopper in the paint. And then Emma Troxel is such a great asset to us because she's a great three-point shooter. She really stretches the floor out. The defense has to play her honestly. They can't sag off of her. In this preseason, in our preseason scrimmages, she shot the ball really well. So we're expecting to see Emma doing some really good things for us out on the court.
So 5 returners come along with 7 newcomers. You've got 5 players that you picked up in the transfer portal, and then 2 freshmen straight out of high school. How will they fit into all of those experienced players you have coming back? Yeah,
so we got Mia Rivers, a grad transfer from Texas A&M Kingsville. She played so many minutes. Her stats are off the chart. She holds some records at Kingsville, had a great career, and really thankful she chose to spend her last year with us. But she is a great court general. We're going to see her start a lot of games this season. She's a steady hand. She doesn't force things. Knows that she's got to get us into the offense quickly in possessions. But probably the biggest asset she brings is she's an on-ball defender. She loves playing defense on the ball. And we really don't have that many players that love being on-ball defenders. But Mia, I think, really does. And so we love that about her. That's a great tool in her toolkit for sure. So she's probably the most experienced player that we brought in. And then Natalia Chavez is very similar to Emma Troxel as far as their skill set. She's got deep range on her 3, really smooth release, always ready to shoot it. Our last scrimmage, she hit 5 threes, really good three-point shooter, and love that in that 4 position. And then Paula Piqué and Carlota Gomez, both from Spain. One via a JUCO, the other straight out of high school. But there are 2 more super shooters that we added to the group that can shoot threes, but can also beat people off the dribble. And then the last super shooter we got is Erin Woodson. Had a phenomenal freshman campaign at Purdue Fort Wayne. She was on the Horizon all freshman team. Another good shooter. She loves to play defense as well, so we like for her to be out on the floor, kind of hawking the ball, trying to steal passes, things like that. We have a center that we're really excited about. Freshman Amy Flippin comes in and takes up a lot of space in the paint. It's hard to keep her from receiving a pass. She really carves out a lot of space for herself posting up. I think that step from high school to Division I, one of the biggest differences is the shot clock. You have to play so fast at this level, and that's pretty obvious that Amy was not in a system that played super fast, and that's something that she's got to figure out, like, we're going to push the ball, and if you can beat people down the floor, you're going to get some wide open layups, and so she's figuring that transition out. But I think all of our new players bring something special to the table. They're going to contribute this year. We've got a lot of great games in November to figure out, the best rotations for our team.
Well, we will look ahead to that schedule in November for the AC Wildcats. And we talked about new players. We'll talk about new assistant coaches on the Wildcats staff after we take a timeout here on the Julie Goodenough Show on ESPN+.
You're a big ACU fan. You want to be part of the game day experience. You eat, drink, and cheer for your team. But you only watch the game from home. Then the magic happens.
This would be the biggest win in school history.
The triple. Wildcats lead with 50 seconds left.
Moody is where the magic happens. But when that magic happens, will you be there? Tickets on sale now.
Yes, I do not like traveling 2.5 hours in the traffic and working your way through the bigger airports. I prefer to fly ABI. And it's important to just know that you can go anywhere in the world from a small town like Abilene.
The hunger to win is fueled by a chance to compete and the thrill of the action. The cheers from the crowd energize our team and push them on to victory. Whether it's the pre-game excitement of tailgating or the post-game euphoria of winning celebrations, United Supermarkets always brings an A-game to your party. From kickoff to tip-off and the final buzzer to the last out, United Supermarkets is proud to be the official sponsor of Abilene Christian University.
Welcome back to the Julie Goodenough Show on ESPN+, and we're talking about the ACU women's basketball season about to begin with some new faces on the court and then also on the sideline as well for your coaching staff. We bring in 3 new assistant coaches. Tell us about who you've brought in and what you think they will bring to your team.
Yeah, it's been so much fun with the new coaches they brought in, like just new enthusiasm, new energy, a lot of new coaching ideas. And so I think as a staff, it's been fun just trying to build our chemistry and like trust and camaraderie between the 4 of us. I was able to hire Coach Yannick Denson back in the spring. I've known Yannick for a long time. We even had some battles, ACU versus Howard Payne, when he was the head coach there. He won a state championship as a high school coach, and then he's been working for a really great defensive-minded head coach in Robin Harmony at the College of Charleston, and he also worked with her previously at Lamar. And we had some great battles against him at Lamar. We were like this offensive juggernaut playing a defensive juggernaut. And so, I've known Yannick. I know that he loves Jesus. He's a high energy guy, great, passionate basketball coach. But I really wanted him to come in and take over a lot of our defensive responsibilities. And I think we've already seen some really good changes with intensity, with on-ball pressure. And so he's done a great job with that. I claim to be the first coach to offer Tatum Bottenheimer a scholarship. I don't really know if that's true, but I know that I offered her in the 8th grade. So I've watched her play all through high school. She's from Windthorst. A lot of my family is from Windthorst as well, so very familiar with that German community. but followed her career at Oklahoma, and then she chose to play her last couple of years at Texas Tech, and then worked behind the scenes there as a GA. You know, when I started calling references, I mean, just incredible references for Tatum, just high energy coach. She's a no job is not your job kind of a coach, very personable. Obviously, just with her background playing high level as a point guard, we wanted her to come in and be our point guard coach. She's also like our internal recruiting coordinator. He really helps with a lot of on-campus visits, things like that, whereas Coach Denson's kind of our external recruiting coordinator, scheduling us going out on the road and things like that. And then the final piece of the puzzle, I was able to hire a former Wildcat.
Yes.
Y'all, when Chris Garcia was a student at ACU, he worked for Coach Golding as a manager for a couple of seasons, then came over and worked with our program. And away from basketball, though, he was one of the student section leaders. And I mean, I don't know of any student since I've been here who's been a bigger Wildcat fan than Chris Garcia. And he's definitely done this the right way. He paid his dues as a GA. He coached for Jason Burton at Texas A&M Commerce, who's out in North Texas. And then he followed Coach Markeith Brown to Oklahoma Christian. So he's been coaching, high-level basketball. He's coached at Intentional Christian Church of Christ School in Oklahoma. Plus, he knows the ins and outs of ACU and just very loyal Wildcat. He was on one of our last championship teams, and so it was a real privilege to bring a coach in who knows about ACU, that loves this place and wants to help the women's basketball program win again another conference championship.
Yeah, I know you had several years where you had a number 2 assistant for many years. You had Erica Lambert, who moved on to North Florida to get a head coaching job. And so when you have 3 new assistant coaches, how do you try to bring them into your program? Obviously, Chris knows the program already, but how do you try to bring them into your system?
Well, probably much to their chagrin, we have a lot of staff meetings. We meet a lot. I don't want there to be any confusion. I want to be super clear about our mission, our vision, our core values, our culture. I just want there to be really open dialogue, open clarity with like what my expectations are and just what their responsibilities are. I feel very comfortable with everything that we've delegated out between the 3 assistants, and they're just rocking and rolling in their areas and bringing a lot to the table. When we have staff meetings, when we have practice planning meetings, they're bringing a lot to the table. I think the thing that our fans have noticed, and like every practice we have is open. We have people just walk in and watch practice. Then we had an official open practice just recently, but the common theme or comment that I'm getting from people who are observing any of our practices is your assistant coaches they're trying to match your energy, and that's something that we were lacking last season. And so they're bringing this passion and this energy to practice every single day. It's very noticeable by our fans, and our players notice it as well. Like, they're not just standing around, like they're hands-on, they're getting involved in practice, they're really helping us to improve week by week for sure.
All right, well, let's talk about the first game of the season coming up very soon, Monday, November 4th against the University of the Southwest. And then you stay right with it. After that, a road trip to FIU and then a home game on Tuesday, November 12th against SFA, a team that we're all very familiar with. So your November schedule gets started very quickly.
We're so excited. Monday really can't get here fast enough. I was kind of pumping the brakes before our scrimmages, like, have we put everything in that we need for the scrimmage? And I think that we're at a really good place right now to play like the first real game. We're really excited. It's a doubleheader with the men. Last year was really kind of sad. I felt like we had no doubleheaders with men's basketball, and I think it's really hard for our fans when there's like 30 home games, between men's and women's basketball, and it's just hard for them to come to all of those. So any opportunity we have to have a doubleheader where the fans can come see both teams on the same night, I think is a really special evening. And Monday will be no exception. It is called Moody Madness on Monday. There's going to be a lot of awesome things for the fans, for the ACU students in particular, giveaways, competitions, things like that. So we're just excited to get kicked off at home. And then, like you mentioned, we'll immediately hit the road. We'll go to Florida to play a very, very good FIU team from last season. Their coach did a great job with them. They're a 20-plus win team last season and have a good core coming back. And then coming back to play SFA after that Florida trip is going to be really fun. It's our elementary kid game.
Yes.
So everyone mark that on your calendars. It's an 11 o'clock tip-off, and that one is usually more than just basketball. There's so many other things going on. While the game's going on, you're going to hear a lot of SpongeBob and Frozen and Disney songs. And so, yeah, these first 3 games they're going to be a lot of fun.
It'll be the loudest game of the season at Moody, probably.
Yeah, high decibels.
And then last week, an event, you mentioned an open practice and then a meet and greet with many of your fans last week, and the players each sat at the table, got to meet some of the ACU Wildcat fans who support your program. What was that event like to just get around a lot of your biggest supporters?
Well, just going back several months ago, this summer we have had so many people inquire about our team. How's it going? Who are these new folks? And then continued throughout the fall, people showing up to practice. They just wanted to get to know everybody. And so we just developed this event. We've never had it before. This is the first time we've ever done anything in the fall. Joe and Brett have had tip-off dinners with their fans and season ticket holders, and I did not want to do the same thing that they do. That's their thing, and I was not going to take away from that or copy that. So I wanted to do something a little bit more casual, and so we came up with this, let's just invite everybody to practice. And they can practice cheering, they can sit in their season ticket seat, they can have access to like a real practice. And we just had a real practice. This is what we do every day. And then immediately following that, we had a sit-down dinner and just a short program. And it was really, it just met and just exceeded all expectations. The turnout was great. We maxed out the facility that we were in. I mean, if we do this next year, we're going to have to figure out how to seat more people. It was completely full. But it was a great opportunity for our fans to learn about our players. Coach Garcia put together a slideshow that showed, a couple of hundred pictures of what we've been doing since the team arrived back in June. We've been out in the community a ton. We had camps. We've had a lot of fun on campus. And then each of our players, we had a little fun trivia that, each player had a fun question in there. So the fans got to learn something personal about them. And then I was able to give kind of a season preview and just a little bit about, what goes on behind the scenes. Like, people are not invited to our team meetings or team chapel, and that's where we're doing a lot of culture development, a lot of sharing of core values, trying to foster who is it that we want to be, what do we want to be about. And so that evening was really special to our program, and I'm still receiving texts and emails and phone calls about what a wonderful event that was, and I hope this is something y'all will continue annually.
All right, the season opener for ACU basketball, Monday, November 4th. The women tip off first, the men following afterwards, starting at 5:30 on Monday the 4th. We'll take one final time out here on the Julie Goodenough Show. Talk more about ACU women's basketball. It's the Julie Goodenough Show on ESPN Plus. The season opener coming up Monday, November 4th against the University of the Southwest. And Coach, a game against Division II school, your first game of the year. Maybe you approach it a little differently than the last games in March in the WAC tournament. What's your approach to this season opener?
Well, playing at home, we get to already start working on one of our goals to be undefeated at home. We've got to take care of our home court. We're excited about a big crowd being there, giving us like a sixth man, just a lot of excitement about the game. University of the Southwest is an opponent that we see about every other year. They've been awesome, coming from Hobbs to see us every season. I will say that they have a new coaching staff, so we really don't know anything about this coaching staff. They play November 1st and November 2nd, so this is going to be their third game of the year. But because they play the 1st and 2nd, we probably won't get any game film before, we practice on the 3rd. So we're going in a little bit blind. They are probably watching game film from us from last year, and we're not a whole lot different this year. Just our personnel is so different. So they're not going to know about really the new players or anything like that. But they have 3 of their top players returning this year. They had a really good run in the Red River Conference last season. And like I said, with the new coaching staff, you're not quite sure team tendencies, what that's going to look like. So we're really going to mainly focus on those top players they have returning, because I'm sure they'll be the ones that this new staff will go to. So that'll be our focus as far as, scouting our opponent. For us, we want to score at a high clip. So, just being efficient with the basketball. Can we score in transition? Do we need to sit down and run offense? Are we getting everybody involved? Are we sharing the basketball? Just being a really highly efficient offensive team is a big goal for us. I feel like we've put in so many workouts. The expectation is pretty high that we have a low turnover game this very first game. We also want to be a good rebounding team. So that going into this game is a huge point of emphasis every day. We're not going to miss out on an opportunity to go after the ball, to go after a rebound. Those are bonus possessions every time you get a rebound. And so just being efficient offensively, taking care of the basketball, and rebounding are the points of emphasis we'll go into this game with.
All right, 5:30 tip-off, and then the men following against Howard Payne. So a full night of basketball next Monday. And then still time to get your season tickets at tickets.acusports.com to see the men and the women at Moody Coliseum. We appreciate the time, Coach.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next week for the Julie Goodenough Show here on ESPN Plus.